Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're watching this show from and when. Some people might be watching from Australia, and that would be like their sleeping time. If you're watching from Europe, it's late night. So who knows? I'm here with you today, and I would like to welcome you to the It's All Good show. Luke is here for a chat. I'm really honored today to be joined by two amazing women that I just met not that long ago, but then I couldn't miss the opportunity to interview them into my chat. The first one is Lana, and I haven't asked her how to say her last name, so I'm just gonna say Lana and Jeana. Jeana, I know how to say her last name, but I'll keep it for later. So Lana and Jeana, and they are amazing women that are working actually with human design. And I've heard of that in the last 6 months. I've never really heard of human design before. And it's interesting, the couple of people that I met that I ran into that are doing that, I don't know. I still undecided of what I want to make out of that, but let's have a chat with them today and we'll hear what they have to say. But before we start, I want to explain why I call this show It's All Good. The main reason is because it's my favorite cup. It's all good. And that's why I called it It's All Good. But also, it's a way of thinking that that I have worked on over the years that made me who I am today, which is not having to worry and just say, it's all good. Because whatever happened, something happened like 5 seconds ago or 5 years ago, I can't change it. If something happened, 5 weeks ago, I can't change it. So guess what? It's all good. All I can do is if I can and if I want, I can say I apologize if something I did that could be wrong. And if it's an incident, an accident, you can't change it. So you can just move on. And what about the future? Well, a lot of people are worrying about the future. Oh, what is the future is going to be like and what's going to happen and actually, talking about the future, I have a workshop coming up this Friday. If you're watching this live and within this week, and the information is going to be in the chat, but it's like how to make the second half of your life the best half of your life. So I invite you to check out the chat and come and see me at my workshop on Friday. So before any further delay, I would like to welcome my guests, which first one will be Lena and the
Lana,
second one will
yeah.
be Jeana. Lana and Jeana. Here we go. And we have a full panel today, so I'll be super excited. So, what I would like, as you notice, I didn't introduce them because I feel that it'll be better if they talk about themselves first. So, I will start with Lana. Lana, would you like to just say a
Sure.
little bit about yourself and what brought you to work with human design?
Okay, well, it's a pleasure to be with you today, Denise. I really appreciate the invite. It's great. So, my story with human design, I've been into astrology for quite some time. And I've gone through some health issues through my life. And one of them was epilepsy, which led me to brain surgery. So, even as I was studying astrology, when I was going through my crisis and getting my brain back, I had to use something as a guidance because, as you are saying, Denise, the past, I had to make some changes because something wasn't right.
Hmm.
So, as I started to do more research and wrote my book, Getting Up, as well, and I talk about human design in there and put together a formula for helping you find your unique potential. Well, of all the different things out there that you can take from personal tests, human design was the most real. Like the way we are born is who we're here to be. And just showing different energies and how I come across made me understand myself so much better and have the confidence in my work. And it's been a lot of fun. So through that study, of course, where I met Jeana. Yeah.
That's right.
Wonderful. And Gina, who are you?
Well, first of all, I was in education for many years, and I have one of those things. I have a PhD, and it's in applied behavioral studies and education. I had gone through all the programs where you become a psychologist or a psychiatrist, all the things of those nature. And I worked in the arena of it, and I didn't do all of those components of it, but I had all the same background. I did lots with assessments. Assessments were my big thing. What do you do with assessments? How do you work with that? I taught assessment in licensed professional graduate programs, and I did a lot with it. And I like Launa, had some things happen in life, and I had a significant thing happen in 2017 of a near-death experience. And the near-death experience got my attention really clearly, and it was, you're not on the right track. We're not going to do it this way anymore. And it was a really interesting experience. It was vivid enough, wild enough, and it wasn't my imagination. There was something had happened where someone had witnessed something happening, and I was still alive afterwards, and I couldn't believe it, and all kinds of good stuff like that. So when I finished, I really got through with that. I started searching out, what do I do and how do I do it? And I'd had some pretty tough times in life. A lot of challenges come up, and I never really understood it, and I didn't like me. And I connected, because of the assessment component of this, with human design and how it worked and how it did. And it really resonated with me, and the validity and reliability of it, and how consistent it is along with all the components of it. And so using that as a way to look at it, I explored it. And so that was in 2018 and then 2019. And then I started certification programs basically in 2021. And I met Launa. We ended up in a small study group together where other people who had gone through some pretty significant either near-death experiences or basically
health problems.
Yeah, a very big thing that had happened in their life. Yeah. We ended up in this group together, and Launa and I just really connected. And we looked at our charts later, and it's like, oh, we connect all of our dots for each other. And so that's how it started and how it grew. And I utilize all my educational stuff I learned, and I do all of that. And when someone meets me that knows human design, they immediately know exactly who she is. They'll know she's a manifesting generator. They know she's a 3 and she's a 6, and they never even question it. They'll name it. They'll go, oh my God, that's a manifesting generator 3/6, because that's who I am. And it helped me love me for who I was for the first time in my life. So all of you out there who are 3s and all of you out there who have 6s, just remember, you've never failed. You have just been experimenting with all the things you were supposed to experiment with so that you could show the future to be a better place. And so
this is really fun, Denise. I don't know how much
I'm looking at it right now.
You're a 3.
We'll get to my chart in a second. So
you are a 3, so
full exposure, and we'll get to understand, because when I was talking to Launa, I was saying, yeah, I'm this and that, but really I don't have any idea how that works and what does that mean and how to play with that. So we'll explore that a little bit further. And so, but before we go into looking into my chart that you girls have put together, can either one of you pick, what is human design? So what does that say about people? Why is it important?
I'll give the scientific. This is how Jeana and I work well together. I'm more on the logical side, and Jeana's more spiritual side. So Wonderful. That's how your chart comes together.
Bring the logical side first.
Exactly. So I don't have all of the types of astrology memorized in my head, but there's 4 different types, and Jeana will help out as we go through. But the basics of astrology that many of us have known for the over 4,000 years it's been around. So we have a good concept about that. And that's, of course, Western. So when you go to the Eastern side, where you start including your chakras and your channels and gates, and I forget all the names of that as Jeana will say what religious they are. But it's basically bringing Eastern astrology and Western astrology together into one in how we come and who we are born to be. So, and that's one thing with, astrology is always changing as the planets move and how you're being affected, but who we are born is who we are, and that's our slate to work with. And with time, we start to get these coincidences that change who we were born to be, and it's hard to come back. And that's why I love your concept, Denise. It's all good because, we've gone through this stuff and it's all good. We're supposed to take it in. And because we're all different and how we're born is also how we're going to get the concept of how we're going to take it.
Yes.
So that's a really fun part. And as both Jeana and I are manifesting generators, will you, as a projector, as we go into your chart, will see how much you bring to the world. It's really cool.
Ooh, cool. Awesome. And what about you, Jeana? Do you have something to add to that?
Well, it is a combination that brings the Kabbalah and a few other philosophies into it as it's done. It uses I Ching, which are the 64 different things in the I Ching. It utilizes those. It calls them in human design something different instead of the I Ching, but the concepts are still the same. And it is called gates. And if you happen to use the Human Design Process by Richard Rudd, it calls them gene keys. So gene keys and gates are the same as the I Ching 64 hexagrams that are out there. And those are huge in our program and what we do. And they relate really well. That's that Eastern part that Launa's talking about. And it's a component of it that helps us understand where we are. And there's a unique way that it does. That part Launa talked about was that 88 days before we are conceived, no matter when you're conceived, because the belief is that all of us, the timing is divine when you're conceived, no matter what it is. And that 88 days before is when the design crystal is put into the infant. And the infant has all of those energies. So the red part of your chart is going to be your part where it was 88 days before. And the black part is the date of your birth and time.
Yeah. So
and it gives a good component.
You were born. Yeah.
Okay.
So that part is there. It's a little bit more detail than you wanted, but that's why there's two designs, because there is that component of it. One's unconscious to us. We aren't aware of it. And the other one is very conscious to us. And if somebody asks us, we'd say, oh yeah, that's who we are. And the unconscious part will be like, I'm not like that. But other people around you might say, yes, you are, because they recognize it.
Very interesting. All right. Without any further delay, let's look at my chart. So let's open that and share. Here we go.
Beautiful.
So I can move the mouse and point wherever you tell me to point at.
Well, the first thing we would probably say to you is that you are a projector. In the world of human design, there are 5 types. The first one is there's a manifester, there is a manifesting generator, a reflector, and projectors. Projectors are about 20% of the population. And it's 20% of the population. They are a unique group that they are the role model. They're a group that helps, like if there were a movie, they're going to be the director of the movie. They can see for the others in the world what others need to see that they can't see for themselves. When I meet a projector and they say, have you ever considered, if I give them an invitation and I said, Denise, share with me what I could do to improve my business. And you said, have you ever considered blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden you said, I don't know why that came out of my mouth, but it did. That's because your projector can see in me what I can't see in myself.
Mm-hmm.
And you will find
another fun part of a projector is the how you are to bring communities together with who you are. So it's so interesting to see your chart when we hadn't seen it yet, but I'd met you. Denise, it was okay, yes, I get why she's a projector and doing this Facebook time, because you are bringing that community together for what you want to share. It's really cool.
Mm. Cool.
So that would be the first thing we would share. So projectors are about 20%. Reflectors are only 1%, and there's not many. Manifesting generators are 32, 33%. Generators are about 37%. And manifestors are 8 to 9% right now. And then the more people who have their charts run, those numbers vary a little on there when they do it. So projectors have some really common things about them that they all feel that is within them, is that sometimes you won't know for yourself about everything, but you'll almost always know when you meet somebody. You see all of those white places on those little different triangles and shapes in there. All those white means you're open and you can actually feel their energy. You feel what's going on. You have an understanding. You feel their emotions. You feel their fears. You feel all of their things. You feel what's in their head. And all of a sudden you just see a vision, or you hear a vision, or you know a vision, depending upon what kind of projector you are. For you happen to be a knowing projector. which
Okay.
is self-reflective, that you just know that you know. And you don't even know how you know. And if somebody asks you to describe it, it's sort of like I know. But telling them how you know is very difficult because it's so innate within you and that it's there. And oftentimes, if you're working on something and you're trying to do it for yourself, you have to talk it out with somebody who doesn't try to guide you in a certain direction, but allows you just to speak it out. When you hear it out loud, you hear yourself say it, all of a sudden you go, oh, I know what I'm supposed to do now. I'm not supposed to do that, or I'm supposed to do this. And it's the second rarest authority, is the self-projected. So you actually are sort of a rare bird in a way.
And it's
Ooh,
really fun. What, like, just
listen to that, people. I'm a rare bird.
You are a rare bird.
You are a rare bird. And the two channel, or the two areas you have defined, your G center and your throat, all that information that you're bringing in your defined areas there are so incredible. So the G center, you know what your self-love and what you're here to give. And
Right
through your
here.
throat, you're allowed to share that because you have that defined in what you're saying. Other people who have an open throat or an open G, we take in all that information, still trying to circle it around in that center. But it's like you have this whole circle around you, bringing in this energy, and it comes into you and you figure it out through your heart and your throat and share it to the world. And I think that's really powerful.
I wanted to share, Denise, that on the charts, without any colors or anything on them, every single human design graph has the numbers and the shapes in the exact same places. All numbers, graphs are in the same places no matter what. The thing that's on the right, where you look up at that personality that says 1 up at the top on the black underneath, that's your sun. That's your most important influence, which is all
Right
about your
here?
purpose in this world. It's huge. That your whole purpose is creativity, new and revolutionary ideas, divine inspiration, and creative genius. That's your definition of your gate. And that's number 1 on it. And the point 3 means you're an experimenter with that. You're going to go try all these different things. Whenever you see what works, you'll bring it back. You'll let go of the rest and you'll utilize it. The red sun on the other side is on the left side, which you're very unconscious of, and that is a 7. And the 7 on it gives you the a way to stop and look at it, and it's guidance, noting anatomy for all, your inner guidance, and it takes precedence over outer guidance. So the inner guidance is what you are about, inner guidance. It's not the world out there. And you facilitator of lots of group functions. So your sons are like, okay, we're going to do it. And that 0.5 is that they're called the profile line. And it's listed a little bit further down where it says a 3-5. That's that 5. That's a word in there that is used by a different group, but Launa and I call that the 5 is the karmic, is a karmic mirror to the world.
Mirror.
The world sees
I'm
you.
as well, Denise. So I'm a 2-5. So this is kind of fun how you're in between the two of us. So you're a 3-5 with Jeana being a 3-6, and I'm a 2-5. So it's kind of fun how that connects together with all of our profile lines. But as a 5, mirroring, that was one of the most incredible things I had to hear for myself and understand. I'm like, how come I can get along with the people sitting having a beer versus dressing up in an evening gown and having, high heels, and how come I can be okay? And not everybody is with all those different types of groups, but because the way that we reflect who we are around as 5s, it's a real gift to have. It's really cool.
So people see you, they meet you, and they really grasp. You can see them and they can see you. So when they come to you for leadership, is they know that you're going to help see the very best of them and guide them towards it. When Launa and I met, I was, it's always been hard for me to be a big public and go into the whole part of it. And I have a lot of that. I could do it in education, but doing it in the energy world and then human design world, for some reason, just challenged me. And one of the first things Launa did with her 5 was to be able to see me and reflect back of literally the potential of what I had and what I could bring to that and how it could show forth. 5s are the greatest leaders. 6 is a different thing. 6s are teacher role models, but 5s are a great leader, or is a great leader. And that doesn't mean every leader has a number of a 5. but there is a great potential there for that another person to see you as the leader when they meet you. When they're your ideal client, they see you as leading them through the gunk and the junk and the stuff that's hard to help them get through to that next spot. So that would be the first things we'd say is you're a projector. You can speak it out and talk about it out loud. Even if you did it on a Zoom to yourself, you could talk it through, and then all of a sudden you'd hear yourself say it and you'd know what to do for yourself. For your clients, you can speak it and you hear it and you know. And there are just not a lot of self-projected authority, which is how you can make your decisions on how you do it. And the 3-5 is just awesome because you're going to explore and experiment, and you're going to do that when you did part of it.
So when I see 3-5, I see more tired and heretic.
Those are the words that are used by a different group. The group that we trained under was that 3 is an experimenter explorer, and the 5 is a karmic mirror to the world. So they're able to see what is the potential for it. So
I like that better than heretic.
Oh yeah, we do too. That's why we both studied under quantum human design, and we've also studied in some gene keys. We're certified in human design with quantum, both of us, and a whole lot of those quantum things. We're a bunch of them. But then we've also studied gene keys, and they also do the same thing. They talk about it with a much higher vocabulary. So looking at that from the high level of what that world to bring, and you can usually feel it within it. When Launa talked about the G center, that's that yellow diamond in the middle. And that is your identity, your self-love and your identity. And that's why you have such an awareness of who you are and how you are. And your voice is that you are able to speak it because of that. So when a center's white, that's sort of a big deal because that's where you have all your relationships and your growth. And you can be able, your crown is where you will actually hear the thoughts of others. Whether you realize you hear it or you just know that you know it, you'll even be able to come through with us and go, oh, here's where they are. You can hear their thoughts. The third eye is the vision that other has. But when you take in anything on a white center, the crown, the eyes, the third eye, you take it in and then you magnify it 70%. All of us do. If no matter where we have a white center, we magnify it 70%. And sometimes we have to stop and ask ourselves, was that my idea, or was that mine, or was that stuff? Donna and I do this often. We will come on and we'll do something, and then we'll say, was that mine? Was this for me? Or was this for me to understand something from it?
And
is it for me to use?
For life was a big aha because I even wrote it in my book. All I did is I followed what I was supposed to do because of what my parents said. So many of us do it, right? Like that's like, are you going to live the life of what your parents told you to do, or you're going to find it out for yourself and figure it out? When you're pulling in all of that energy all the time, it took me a long time, especially working, high up in the financial business. I'm like, am I doing this for me, or am I doing this for them so they can go be proud on stage?
Right.
And it took so long just being told what to do continually to figure out, I don't have to do this for everybody. If I want to, I will, but I don't have to. Because I did the have to part, I think, is truly what made me sick. And now that I've come around there, I mean, I feel the healthiest I ever have. It's amazing.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
When people are hunting their purpose, oftentimes they either have a lot of white centers and they have so much of other people's energy they don't know what's theirs. And we're supposed to have those white centers. We're just supposed to use that information to say, am I supposed to use that for me, or am I supposed to let go of it? And it's sort of like, just because I overheard a conversation, that I have to own that conversation, or can I let go of that conversation? And there might be a piece of that might have been helpful. So if I hear a siren when I'm driving on the road, do I need to follow the siren, or do I just need to be aware that somewhere over there's a reason there's a siren going on, and I want to let go of it and move to a different road? And often we get very confused. So for human design to help me understand when to let go and when to hold on to it. And so for me, what I do on my part of this partnership, Launa and I have, is I do the soul stuff. I help people let go of the things that are not theirs and find techniques and methodologies that work for them so they can embrace who they truly are without having to be concerned about what others are trying to get them to be, where the boundaries are. So,
yep.
And the fun part for my stuff, because my education is actually in communication and branding. And so using this to help people in business and understand how they can come across and succeed in business in their way versus what they're getting through other channels and mediums and stuff like that of that can be just, sometimes it's just can be the most worst place you ever go work because you listen to somebody else besides yourself. So
Yeah.
it's a really huge thing to really know who you are when you're branding yourself.
Wow, that's interesting. Yes. So,
So one
what
thing,
are the other things mean? So, if we go down, like if right near you have the
the cross of the
definition.
phoenix, the cross of the phoenix. Let me tell you what your cross of incarnation means. Your cross of incarnation, which is sort of your purpose and mission in life, is that you pass through people's lives when they need to make a change or to find a new direction, and you help them get there. That's what that
Oh,
part means. The
are you
theme
listening to
that's right there is that the theme part says success. When a person who's a projector feels successful, they're in alignment with what they're with their mission and with their goals and with who they are. When they feel bitter, they're out of alignment and it's time to pivot or to tweak something or to ask a different question. Oh, Launa, we didn't talk about this one thing. One of the biggest things on it is for a projector is
Yeah.
they need to be invited. So for
Yeah.
you, when people invite you to do something, then it is something to do. If you have to go if you have to force yourself and ask for an invite, it usually won't work. But if a projector is invited and they feel, oh, I got invited to do, we have a podcast still as well. I'm invited to do Jeana and Lana's show to talk about my program. Oh, that's a good thing for me to do. I feel good about that. Then you would know to go do it. If you said, oh, I'm supposed to do Lana and Jeana's podcast, and you go, yeah, that doesn't even sound fun. Nothing works on that day. You could say, even though the invite came, it didn't feel good when I said it out loud. Now, saying it out loud is a self-projected person. The self-projected authority is who uses that particular one. There are 7 different authorities. Self-projected is one of them, and it's the second rarest. The other, and so that's why we said a projector is only 20% of the population. And then you have the second rarest way of making a decision, which is speaking it out loud to see if it still feels right.
All right.
Does
Cool.
that sound familiar to you, Denise? Is that something you do, or?
I don't know. Now I have to pay attention to it moving forward, right? It's really
Right.
hard to reflect on necessary things of the past, but I know for a fact that if I'm invited to somewhere, then I can, let's use the word perform. I can be at my best if somebody invite me. But
Yeah.
when I kind of push myself into a situation, I know sometimes I don't feel like I'm where I belong.
So
That's a projector.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a projector.
Very much so. So if you ever feel bitter about something, you can stop and look at yourself and say, okay, is there something about this situation that needs to be tweaked? Or do I need to get on a completely different road? Now, you just hit your Chiron return. So you've probably stopped and looked at everything in your life and said, am I on the right path? Is this the way to go? How am I doing it? And you've just finished that part up, and you're probably either really getting there or you're still getting tweaks showing up. So if you come up with something and it feels a little bit bitter, then you'd go, oh, maybe I should like to retweak this. So that could be even retweaking your marketing program, which Lana is really, really good at helping people recognize how to do those things. Is it something about where you're at or how you're doing it, or relationships? If it's something about something that's a boundary that's hard to set, you feel obligations versus opportunities. And there's a different ways of looking at it. And that's sort of where I work, is on the soul work aspect of it.
Interesting.
So those top ones are sort of interesting. That single definition means that all of your connections for your 2 centers that are colored are all together. They're just one. So you feel whole by yourself. You don't need someone else to come in and fill up any spaces for you. You feel whole. I'm the same way. I'm a single definition. I'm a single definition manifesting generator, and I have that same experience, and I feel whole. I have to stop and put myself into perspective about other people who have this. They get energized more when other people come into their lives, or they have this yearning, I would call it, for someone else to be there, because it connects all of their centers. It helps all of their centers get connected. Your centers that are colored are already done, so you already probably have that feeling of you feel whole by yourself. You may enjoy other people, and you may be able to do stuff with other people, but you still pretty much, you're good with who you are on that way. Some of
Yeah.
that
So
other
a
stuff
little
down in
bit
there takes a
different,
long time.
a little bit different that we haven't mentioned for you yet, Denise, is so you know how some lines are only go halfway?
Yeah.
Those are called gates. The one channel that you have that's from your G center to your throat, that's a channel. It's two gates together.
This
And
one.
that
Let me zoom on that.
you only have one channel, and that is so
Hold on. I'm gonna move on
powerful.
it.
There you go. Yeah, that one. That's the your. Some of us have 3 channels, some have 4, some have
Right
5
here.
channels. You only have that one channel in your whole chart, and that's really strong in how you come across. Jeana will go into more about it, but just as the family, it's all about experimenting and sharing, and it's really strong in how that comes together for you.
So when you meet someone and they've got the other half of that, like
So
someone
let's
who
say
has the 8, for
from 8
example,
to going to 1, yeah.
which I have the 8. So when you get the 8, you can, if we give you a chance, it's same for me. I don't have the 1, but I have the 8. So I can speak more when I'm in your presence because you just connected another channel for me.
And just so you know, I have the 1 as well. It's the only gate I have off my G center, and Jeana connects it to my throat for me.
Makes this easy to work. So each time you connect with somebody, some of those will come up and make it much easier for you to feel, to be able to do something that power of that particular gate makes a channel and it connects it. So for you, you also are connected. You may feel some energy afterwards of wanting to go do something or try something because Launa and I are manifesting generators, which means off of that brown throat, we go down to below the yellow G center where your identity is. There is a square, and that square you've got 4 gates off of that square. But we, both of us, have a whole bunch of those particular other gates. And we connect your sacral, which is the work energy, with your throat. We connect your sacral energy to your root, which is your safety. Lana, do you have 6? I
Nope.
don't recall.
Oh,
I
yes,
think
I
you
do.
do.
Sorry, yes, I do have 6.
Yes, Lana's got 6, and so you get connected to the energy of the emotional solar plexus, and then it goes up where some of these others are there. So it shows where all of those get connected. And so you have a lot more power within you when you're in groups because all at once your channels all show, and all of a sudden you'll literally be what I'm going to call vibrant. And that you thrive in those situations because those people are in high vibration of themselves with those. They bring that to you, and all of a sudden you can use their energy for short periods of time, like an energy burst. If you're a person who enjoys your coffee, which it sort of seems like you do since you had your little coffee cup with your thing this morning.
Water.
Yes. And so your coffee gives you that burst of energy and that spurt. The same thing happens when you connect with somebody who connects one of those open gates that doesn't have the other end, and it connects the other end of it. You get a burst of their energy from whatever it is. So right now you have a whole bunch of burst of energy to your throat. When we finish today, if you're all of a sudden motivated to write your book. If you're all of a sudden motivated to go write something on your video, do it. Whatever your communication might be that you are feeling powerful to go do, it's because you had a whole lot of gates to your throat that became channels when you worked with us. So all of a sudden, you're going to only have that energy for a short period. And then you're going to be, oh, I'm exhausted. I'm so tired. I'm worn out. And you just want to go rest for a while.
Yep.
But use it when you can. And if you need to, like, go get it again, pull up this video, watch this video for a few minutes, pull our energy back in by watching it. And then you'll have that little burst of energy, but maybe not for the whole length. So
Yeah.
if that'll help.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
So that's when you feel real connected to somebody, and all of a sudden you feel like you can do a lot because you're there in their energy. They connect all your pieces to places where you need those connected.
Now, we only covered the sun and a little, not even that much of the earth. We only covered a lot of your sun. So I know we don't have all day, just so everybody knows that all planets are here and stand for different things. And when we have more time to go through each one, from your sun and your earth and your moon and Mars and Venus, and they all have different energies and what they share of who you are. And yeah, so there's so much deep information
So
in
the
this.
thing here on the side, so we're like, if you look at the brain, and I'm glad I have an active brain. Uh,
We are too.
Good.
Those are
Determination
some
hot. Yeah, I know I'm hot, but what does that mean?
those are some different terms that are used by some of the different people who have done human
Okay.
design, and they put all of it on the one chart. So some of that stuff on there is things that it's a lot of detail, and those are like in way, way advanced, and you probably have to understand about your circuits and all kinds of other stuff. The biggest thing to know is that you're a projector, that you have a self-directed ability to like know when you know by speaking it out loud, even if it's no
Mhm.
one in the room, and just saying out loud, oh my gosh, I really want to be on Jeana and Lana's podcast. And then all of a sudden your body just goes, no, you don't. Then you should trust your no, you don't. And if you trust, oh, I'm really excited about it, then you would, yes, let's do it. That is important. The 3-5 is important to know that you never fail, that everything you do is an experiment and it's going to lead you to your next step. And when you can embrace, and if you've already embraced it, that's great. I was much older before I embraced mine. I didn't embrace that literally until right in 2018, 2019, when I had my first human design reading. All of a sudden, for the first time, I embraced being a 3, and that all those things I had tried and then gone to a different type of thing or a different career or a different job were never failures. They were just me exploring and experimenting what would be best in life. So the 5 is knowing that people meet you, and those ideal clients can't help but come. And the ones who aren't your ideal clients are going to go and leave, and they're supposed to, because it's not your marketing. It's not something else. It's that they're not ready for your leadership and what you bring to help them actually be able to make that change or find a new direction in their life. So those are the biggest. No unbitterness and success. When you feel successful, pat yourself on the back.
You're
And
right.
remind yourself of when you've done it and what happened to get there.
Yeah.
Like, what happened to get me to feeling successful? What did I do this time and I felt really successful? And if you come back and you feel a little bit of bitterness, like I tried this marketing program or this marketing campaign and it didn't work, and stopping and saying, okay, I feel a little bit bitter about that. I spent this much money or this many hours, and all of a sudden stopping and going and saying, okay, now if I tweaked it, do I tweak it? And then say it out loud, do I tweak this thing? Do I revise this thing, or do I start with a different program completely or a different
That's very
process?
interesting. Yeah.
You say it out loud and you're going to have a knowingness. So
That's
those
awesome.
are your big things to remember out of a little brief mini human
it's a
design
mini.
reading.
Wow, that's fantastic. So that was very insightful and interesting. There's no other word for me right now. It's just like so different things about personality and what I do and what I don't do, and saying it out loud. Like I'm gonna try it up. I'll see where that goes. How that feels, and
And start to feel how much you are a karmic mirror, like myself as well. When you are, because as soon as I said that, you got, yeah, I can do that too. I go to the different groups and I fit in just fine. And that's once you recognize it for yourself, it's so helpful to know.
wow, it's super nice.
Often your
Wonderful.
clients will probably describe themselves as lost, and they found you.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if those are words that come out of their mouth.
No,
I was lost and I found Denise.
And you
know?
really bring the unity and groups together. That your chart shows that very strong. So that's so cool that you've got this going. That's awesome.
Wonderful.
And your inner voice just comes through, because as a projector, you just know. You don't know how you know. And then when they ask you how you know, can you teach me how you know? You don't know how to teach them how they know, because yours is so integrated within you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Your whole design is to just have that inner guidance of helping people who are lost find their way through the gunk and the junk and the yuck. And then all of a sudden, and that's the 3, you've already experimented with all the different ways, and now you come up with the right one. And that 5 is they come and find you. You just got to be able to say, when am I supposed to change it or tweak it or do something? Did that help a little?
Yeah, that's very, very cool. I really find that very interesting. Thank you so much. So now I'm sure those that are listening are like, what about me? What about me? How can I have my chart read and all that? So, ladies, how can people find you, and who are you working with usually?
So our the name of our group is that we are coming together is called Always Becoming You, and that will also be the name of our podcast. And so that is where people can come and search for us now. For we Jeana and I are just starting out with the podcast, and so that's going to take a little bit of time. So with the charts that we will do together, Jeana will really show the sole purpose of what your chart's for, where, as I said earlier, I'll take the logic side and how you show yourself in business. And you can come to, I think we're putting it through Acuity. Is that right, Jeana?
Yes, we'll have a link for them to post if they'd like a joint reading from both of us. Also, to get a free chart, we'll have it where you can stop and get it. If they will put code Denise, when they just then they're put, hey, this is from Denise, then we'll be sure that they get, if they want a newsletter or anything, they can get on there if they'd like to. But we'll also be sure to let you know how many people have, and we won't give you their private information, of course, but how many people like ask about it or what they've done. And we haven't really talked about this, Launa, but we might give a small discount for Denise's clients that come.
Yeah, I think we should. I think
so a 20% discount sort of sounds good to me.
Yeah.
I am a sacral. I am not emotionally defined, so I can make immediate decisions. But so long as
me, I'm an emotional.
Yes. She has to give it 3 days. We're not going to wait 3 days to do that. I can do mine. I have a different way. My sacral has a yes or no, and words come out, and it's there. You have to verbalize it out loud. I just thought in my head, are we supposed to give a discount? My body said yes. I said 10%. They said no. I said 20. It said yes, and I said okay. But my body actually moved. You will see it move quite a bit where it would actually move and do that. Launa gives herself 2 to 3 days. She has an emotional wave. We respect it. We love it. We know it's there. And we remind her of it at times. And she reminds me to quit waiting on a wave that I don't have. So you help each other with it. So we'll put that down, and we'll have a discount for people who would like readings. And we
Wonderful.
would just,
so that'll be what I suggest for everybody's listening on Facebook, on LinkedIn, or Twitter, which we are now, and on your group, is to go into my YouTube channel, which I'll put a link also under there, and all the information will eventually end up there. Will on the show note on the YouTube channel.
Perfect.
So
and if anybody has other questions, I do energy work with it as well, utilizing emotion code and a whole bunch of other energy modalities that go along with it. Launa does Fascinate and other branding business type things. So when someone has an area of interest, if they let us know, we can either come together to help them do it, because oftentimes it may be a combination, and sometimes it will be a little bit more of a
one's more business and one,
want more business. If they want more business
versus the spiritual,
we'll do that when they work together on it. But we appreciate the opportunity to come together, because it's nice to meet somebody who is a 3-5, because we being a 3-6 and a 2-5, it's nice to see that other component of that other person, and we love to see that. So
well, it was a pleasure to have you here, ladies. It's I'll have to listen to that again, and look at the chart and see, how things are coming together. Hey, it's new to me. I'm just looking into that and seeing what's going to come to that. So again, thanks again. And for those that are listening, make sure to check for the link for my YouTube channel and go back to there whenever it's they have the link. They'll give it to me, and then I'll post it there. And this will be on my Facebook wall for a long time, or LinkedIn or Twitter. It's funny because people sometimes get back to me weeks later after I post one of those videos and say, oh, I really enjoyed this video, because people go back and they listen to stuff on those channels. So, but the YouTube channel,
just remember the code, Denise, and we will connect and make sure to give the 20% discount.
So. Yes, that's already just that. Just say I came from Denise, if whatever.
We don't have that code in there.
And we both you can sign into either one of our websites and
get a free human design chart.
Yeah.
We'll have both of those listed where you can get them. So.
Yeah. Wonderful. So you girls stay there. I'll bring it back. I'll be right back. So thank you so much for those that have listened. I hope you learned a little something about me and maybe for yourself. So if you want to have your own chart read, just contact Launa and Jeana, and then they'll be more than happy to do a reading for you, and at least make the chart and help you a little bit out to understand. So until next time, take care of one another, be kind to one another. And next week it is who's coming next week? Let me check. I always know who's coming, but I always forget. It's Karen KK. So we'll discover KK next week. And she's actually, it's funny because I'll have our partner, KC. So it's KK and KC. Right now I'm having KK, and in the end of the summer, I'll have the both of them together. So you'll discover why next week. So you have to tune in. Until next time, be kind to one another. Goodbye.